Welcome to the study. This is Professor Hemlock. It is week 11. We are doing our keys to performance for this week. It is Fortified, Sanguine, Grievous, and Prideful. This week should be a very fun week to push some high keys, so I'm really excited to get a lot of that action in. Let's kick it off with going over Fortified this week. So Fortified, what that really means is you're going to have a lot higher HP trash packs, and they're going to output a lot more damage. You're going to combo that effect with Sanguine, which when the mobs die, they then drop a little Ichor spot, which will heal all mobs inside of that. So this is a week that's very important for you to be aware of target priorities. So this week, casters are going to be our primary target. Caster mobs need to die first, and kind of why that needs to happen is if you have a mob that's a caster and say they're immune to kick, or certain abilities are immune to kick, like I think of Sanguine Depths when those mobs before the third boss, they do the throw research ability. That is unkickable, right? So if they're standing in Sanguine, they're going to be standing in Sanguine. And you'll be forced to run all the way back around that hall to line of sight them to pull them out of the Sanguine. So what's really to be aware of is you want to kill mobs that are casters. Save your kick if there's multiple casters in a group for making sure when one dies and drops the Sanguine spot that you're able to then kick them and they will come chasing after the tank. So that's very important to be aware of there. In addition to that, being careful with your Frost Nova. You obviously don't want to Nova mobs inside of a Sanguine pouch, so that way they're not getting healed throughout their duration, okay? Another thing on Fortified here too, there is a lot of skips required this week for higher keys in specific dungeons. I do recommend bringing invisibility potions. This is going to really help your group out. I know we do have greater invisibility, so that is obviously an option if you're on the budget, but I would highly recommend still getting invis pots. They shouldn't be that expensive depending on your realm's economy right now. Greater invisibility is going to be extremely important for our third affix, Grievous. Grievous, essentially, the lower your health pool drops, you gain a stacking debuff that will add more and more damage throughout the time you have it. Eventually, when you get low enough, it will just pretty much flatten you and you will die. So ensuring that you have your 4 major cooldowns saved 4 times when your healer is behind is going to be the most important. So our 4 major defensive options here: Prismatic Barrier, Ice Block, Greater Invisibility, and then Mirror Images. You should, at all times, maintain Prismatic Barrier. This is going to be a no exceptions rule this week. If you want to time keys and you want to not have to require your healer to do an infinite amount of HPS, you need to have Prismatic Barrier at all times. Keep that ability on cooldown, unless, of course, you're not taking any damage, in which you can wait till it falls off or starts taking damage and then reapply that Prismatic Barrier. It is extremely effective damage reduction. Of course, mirror images is extremely valuable, not only because the mirror images last 40 seconds, if you don't take direct damage, like the dot does not count as direct damage, meaning that 20% damage reduction you'll have from mirror images is going to have 100% uptime for 40 seconds. 20% damage reduction for 40 seconds is massive in helping your healer. Make sure you're popping mirror images very frequently. And if you're in a dire situation, Greater Invisibility, okay? Greater Invisibility is 60% damage reduction for 3 seconds. This can be the difference between you dying or being forced to use Ice Block. Greater Invisibility is super important. You'll want to use this ability as a defensive toolkit option this week. And, of course, Ice Block. What I actually recommend this week is slotting in the Cryo Freeze Conduit. This way, if you are taking excessive damage, you not only can Ice Block, which will remove the Grievous stacks, but your Ice Block will then heal you up so your healer can focus healing on your other teammates. Can't recommend it enough this week. You gotta have Cryo Freeze. It's going to be a massive aid in helping your team out, especially your healer. Okay. Now, with Prideful on a Fortified week, it's actually going to be a little bit more important to get Prideful for big AoE packs, and depending on the dungeon, the occasional boss. So what we're trying to make sure, if we're helping in our tank's pathing, is that we're maximizing Pride for big AoE packs, and depending on the dungeon, sometimes you'll want to have it up for the final bosses or more difficult boss encounters. Teammates you want to look at this week. I'm going to kind of recommend to stick away from a teammate this week too. I want to recommend sticking away from warriors. So coming up soon this week, I'm going to be releasing a video going over the Crane Soulbind and the new Mythic Plus build that I'm running that I really love. And warriors are kind of counterproductive with their condemn execute phase being exactly the same as what will be our execute phase windows and high damage phases. So avoid warriors this week. And you'll want to look for teammates like rogues are a great option. Priests are a great option. Rogues for Shroud. So if you are running the no invis pot life, rogues can really help you with that. So that way you have the ability to shroud past those big dangerous packs. And of course, priests are always going to be useful with Mind Soothe. Mind Soothe is an ability that reduces the aggro radius of mobs, and that can allow skips in certain locations as well. Otherwise, this week, since it's Fortified, you're going to want to have a heavy AoE composition. Hunters. Woo-wee! Run with some hunters. They're going to do a bunch of damage. It is going to really help out the speed of your group. Other mages are also an option too. If you are running with other mages, just be aware to cycle your cooldowns effectively and make sure you're not double stacking large cooldown abilities. And that is going to be all I have for you today, week 11 on our Mythic Plus content. I hope everyone tops those meters, times those keys, and we will see you next time in the study. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel and like the video if you enjoy this content. And next time.